Hi there, I'm Molly.
And I'm Jamie, and this is our From the Pasture with Hired Hand podcast.
For 15 years now, we've been proudly helping breeders promote hundreds of thousands of pedigree livestock with our easy-to-use animal management-driven website software.
And let's not forget about Hired Hand Live, where over $1 million worth of livestock is sold online each year.
We're excited to bring you market trends, sales data, advice from your fellow breeders, and stories from the ranch.
Our software makes managing your website and your animals a breeze, so you can focus on what you love.
So let us handle your digital chores while you tune in to another episode of From the Pasture with Hired Hand. My guests on today's podcast are Bill and Suzanne Torkildsen from Bull Creek Longhorns in Fayetteville, Texas. And before I have them start and tell them a little bit about themselves, I'm just going to run through a few of the accolades that I found when I was looking at their website. So Bill and Suzanne have been raising Registered Texas Longhorns since 2004. They were the TLBAA Breeder of the Year Award in 2019 and also Breeder of the Year at the Legends Sale in 2023. And in 2024, they received the Bob Loomis Award, the Milestone for Breed Improvement. So quite the resume with our guests today, and I'm excited to learn a lot from them. So thank you both for joining me. Why don't you start and just tell me a little bit about yourselves and about how you got started in Longhorns?
Bill and I have been married for 40 years. We have 4 children and 6 grandchildren. We raised our family down in Rio Grande Valley in Texas and moved up here in 2009 and moved. We had about 5 cows and we moved them all up here on a ranch. We've grown since then.
More kids and grandkids than cows at that time, huh?
Yeah. We got started. We needed an ag exemption, and we had goats on this property, and we didn't like goats that much. So we switched to cows, and we thought Longhorns would be really cool. Their icon, their history, and everything. And so we went to K. Rouge at a Splash of Color Longhorns and bought 3 cows and a bull, I believe. That's something I would not let somebody do today, but we did. The bull was young, so that was good. But anyway, that's how we got started with that, and we've grown since then.
So did either of you have any experience with cattle in general before that, or with Longhorns specifically?
I had a little bit of cattle experience. My dad had a sort of a hobby farm for weekends when he was off, and he had Black Angus and Charolais up there, and I'd go up there and ride my horse and fish and help him with cows and stuff, but that's all.
What about you, Bill?
No.
So once you had the 3 cows and the bull, how did your herd kind of transgress and grow from there?
We started going to sales and shows. Our first show was the Millennium Futurity, I think, where they had
probably something like that.
There was a class, and one of our little heifers was in, and it was with them with 8 clones. It was really rather humorous. And then we started going to sales, and we saw these beautiful heifers come across, and we saw Don Julio, and we decided that we needed to go find out more about Don Julio. And Bill called the El Coyote Ranch and got a hold of Felix Cerna and made an appointment. And we went up to the El Coyote and met Felix and started looking at these Don Julio daughters we were so crazy about. And we bought 3 of them. And then we learned about Tari Graves. And he was explaining to us the genetics and showing us the attributes of this cross. And we just thought that was pretty neat. And that's where we kind of got even our herd today has a lot of Tari Graves in it. And the phenomenon influence.
So how many years had gone by between when you bought your first ones and when you visited Felix, or when you started to go into some of those sales and futurities?
Probably a couple, 3 years. Yeah, and then we just kind of wanted to have better animals and breed better animals and develop our own breeding plan, and kind of one thing led to another. That's kind of how a lot of people get started, right? They just start off with a few pasture poodles and next thing you know, they get sucked in. And 20 years later, they're still going after it. It's all good stuff. It's all fun. It's we've had a good time with it. We love our breeding program.
So we'll get into the specifics about your breeding program here down the road, but let's talk a little bit more about kind of your journey getting started. How many years would you say passed between then when you kind of bought those animals from Felix and were going to the events to when you started entering your own animals in the futurities and sales?
We started buying from Felix in probably 2009.
Maybe a little before.
Oh, no, maybe before that. No, it was before 2007. That. 2007. And then we started going to sales and futurities after that. More sales and futurities, really.
Do you remember the first event that you entered your own animals into, or the first time you ever sold one of your own in an auction?
Yes.
Tell me about that.
Scared to death. We weren't going to get an opening bid. We almost did, but we did. I was going, man, this is awesome. I'm in.
Do you remember what sale it was?
It was I don't know. I don't. It might have been. It was somewhere in Fort Worth, but
it might have been the showcase. The showcase.
Maybe something like that. Anyway, it was not the high selling lot. Let me tell you.
Did you learn any lessons from that you could share with maybe some of the newer breeders listening, or maybe those folks who haven't, are scared to put their own animals in, kind of nervous like you all were?
Don't be scared. Just do it. Problem is, you start getting competitive and you want to have better animals. And so that's where a lot of people end up. And so we do have advice. I don't know if that's a little further down the road, but what I always tell people is, don't start out like we did. End up going back and forth with 3 cows and 10 cows and 15 cows and 20 cows and switching them in and out. And go ahead and just take the plunge. Buy at least one cow, the best cow you can afford, young cow, not an old cow. That's another lesson. And do that and start there. Start with the best animal you can afford rather than just kind of gradually moving into it. But most people, when they first start, they're not thinking that way. They're just thinking, well, we're just going to do it for fun, and then we're going to have a little more fun. We'll get better animals, and just keeps going on. But if I could do it again, that's what I would do. I would take all those first few years, save up my money, get one cow, and work on that. But nobody does it that way because it's not the natural progression. But I mean, really, that's what we should have done. But nobody's going to do it that way, I'm sure.
I feel like one important move would be, don't start buying your first cows in sales. We did some of that and got burned pretty bad. I would recommend a new breeder to go and look at private treaty animals and go to the ranch and sit down and talk to the breeders, talk to the people that are raising these animals. 90% of them will be very honest and upfront with you, because people will ask me, they'll say, now, why do you like this cow? Or I'll drive by and say, she's not my favorite. Well, why don't you like her? And I just tell them the truth. Why I don't like her, whether it's her rear end, whether it's her milking ability, the shape of the bag, whatever. I'll be honest. And I think if more people did that, they might stick with it longer instead of getting some bad. One of our first bad animals was a phenomenon daughter. We were so excited because we got her pretty darn cheap. She didn't milk. She couldn't raise a calf. And that was disappointing. Very disappointing. So I think that sort of thing's not going to happen if you go buy something private treaty from someone. And you get your experience looking at the ranch and not in a bidding situation for your first cow.
Yeah, when we started getting sales, we had no idea what we were doing.
Right.
None. Oh, that looks pretty good. Yeah, okay, fine.
So how do you feel like you honed in those skills where today you can look at an animal and like, okay, these are the 3 things I like about her. This is the one fault she has. This is what I'm willing to spend. Like, talk to me about just that learning curve and how you educate yourselves like that.
I guess it's just school of hard knocks.
We had some good teachers.
And we had good teachers, yes. But some of it was just a school of hard knocks. We're sitting there saying, oh, darn.
Do you feel like it, like how you were talking about, to go to a ranch and meet with the breeders that way, those are probably where some of those lessons are learned, as the breeders that are willing to explain those types of things to newer folks, right?
Absolutely.
Well, I think how we got to talking about this was I asked about your first sale consignment. So let me ask you now about your first futurity winner. Do you remember who that was and when that was and those feelings?
Yeah. It was the first 4 that we bought. It was a young bull. His name was Eliminator. And we bought him from K. Roost. And we kind of gave him to our son. It was the 3 of us kind of in on this at the time. And we took him to the futurity, and he won 2nd place. Now, I don't remember how many calves were in that futurity, but he won 2nd place. And Billy could not have been prouder. And we were pretty excited ourselves. We had a red ribbon winner there, and that was the Millennium Futurity. I'm pretty
sure. We were going to paint his picture on our trailer.
Eliminator, yeah. That was the first one. I know that. Because Kay had paid the entry fees for him.
Is your son or other family members, are they still involved in some aspect today? Do they like to?
They're all grown, have children, and their own lives going on. They come to visit, but they don't stay here.
When they visit, do they enjoy riding around in the pasture and looking at the animals and stuff?
They do. Some more than others, but the grandkids love them.
So now that you've had Longhorns for over 20 years, what do you feel like your favorite part is, or have you gone through stages with different favorite parts?
I guess we maybe have different favorite parts. Some of mine, I love to work them in the chute. I like to do pregnancy checks. I like to measure their horns. I like to give them the shots, and all that kind of stuff. And I love the new babies. Who doesn't love to find a new baby?
Well, we start our mornings when I'm in town. We ride around and feed. So we have our morning thing, and then in the afternoons or evenings, we ride around, look at everybody again, and kind of talk about our breeding and what we like and what we did that didn't work so good and what did work good and who we're going to breed to next and all that kind of stuff. And we do that every day.
Are you usually in agreement, or are there some breeding strategies you differ on?
Yeah, there's some differences of opinion, no doubt.
Bill's really, really good at putting together breeding. Very good. Very good.
So I don't know about being that good. I don't know about being. Suzanne and I just look at things differently, but that's probably a strength, not a weakness. Right? It's probably good. But she sees things in a breeding that I don't see.
Well, let's talk a little bit more about that. Tell me about your breeding philosophy, your breeding strategies.
Well, we have some foundation bloodlines. We're still very heavily focused on Tari Graves. She is a tremendous cow. And when we first started looking at her and looking at her baby, we're going, this is what we need to do. This is where we need to start making some investments in Tari Graves progeny. And we stuck with that, and then we've gradually over the years blended her with different genetics. She's still the biggest part of our herd, probably, right?
Yeah.
Genetically.
There's so many things we liked about Tari Graves. Her little teats and like, the size of your little finger, and the perfect bags with 4 equal quarters and just shaped beautiful. And they last forever. I mean, those cows can have babies every year for 15 years, and the bag doesn't change. And to me, that's beautiful. We've had some that weren't that way, and didn't work out well.
Very consistent, very predictable cow. Beautiful babies, beautiful progeny, just a very elegant cow. We've been lucky enough to have some great Tari Graves daughters and granddaughters and nieces that have really contributed to our herd. Gradually, as we look at different genetics that have come along that we like, that we brought into our herd and blended, kind of like those people that make moonshine, each one of them got their own little blend. They got this and that. And we've kind of got our own that we've kind of gradually drifted into one way or another, or some of it we lucked into. We found crosses that worked and crosses that didn't work. But so we kind of start sticking with the crosses that work. Certainly Cowboy Tough Checks has been tremendous bull for everybody. Hubble's 20 gauge has been tremendous bull. Gravel has been a tremendous bull. And a lot of these bulls, some of these bulls work together, and some don't. But boy, when they do, it can be pretty exciting. And so that's kind of where we drive our breeding, is to blends that we start to see patterns and predictability that we like. We're always learning. We're always we don't fall for every fad that comes across the ring. We try and be as selective as possible, and we don't necessarily jump in the middle of something that might be appealing to a lot of people. We may lose some market share because of that, but it's okay because we're doing what we like.
Do you feel like it's hard not to get caught up in some of those trends and kind of just even want to try one or two matings that are, like an offshoot, or do you feel like you can stick to your guns pretty easily?
Pretty good sticking to our guns. We have Suzanne, and Suzanne will tell you, I don't know why everybody likes that bull. I think he's ugly. Yeah. I was like, okay, Suzanne. Yeah, it's ugly. Even though I might have thought he was pretty good, Suzanne's a very discerning, very discriminating, much more so than I am. So I'm lucky to have that perspective. He knows what she likes.
So when you're driving through the pasture and you have some younger calves on the ground from these matings that you've been planning and pairing and working on, what are you looking for in that animal to know, like, yeah, okay, I really like that combination, or, oh, I'm not sure, this one's kind of on the cusp of if she's going to compete or, going to be a cull. What traits are you looking for?
Confirmation. When they're young, it's pretty much all about confirmation, in my opinion. And then, you don't know about udder and all that stuff until they have a baby. But they've got that perfect conformation, that pretty rectangular body, and that perfect little tail set, and those little ears, and that pretty head. And then if you throw color on it, that's just a plus, right? Consistency, predictability. But, you can look at one and tell you it's good.
Yeah,
what you want.
We spend a lot of time looking at rear end. In the pasture.
I'm glad you clarified that.
But I think that's a big. We like to see some muscle. We like to see some muscle. We like to see a good configuration.
Good strong backs. Nice strong back. Good tail set.
And feet are big.
Feet. And that's something you can many times you can tell by 8 or 9 months old if those feet are not going to be what you want. Because genetically, some of the feet, can be bad or not desirable, I guess you could say.
And then really the mark of a good animal is really what they produce, right? The mark of a good bull is what hits the ground. Children are supposed to be better than the mom and the dad, right? That's what we tell our kids.
Oh, you need to outproduce yourself. Out people.
You're supposed to be faster than me. You're supposed to be smarter than me. You're supposed to be stronger.
We apply that to our cows.
Like it.
And now a word from our sponsors.
Hey, if you love From the Pasture with Hired Hand, why not go check out my podcast, The Big Iron Podcast with Andrew Shigori, where we dive into the world of Registered Texas Longhorns and what it means to be an agriculture entrepreneur in the modern world, with a little southern flair, of course. Find The Big Iron Podcast wherever you get your podcasts.
Planning a live auction and want to reach more buyers? Hired Hand Live brings the power of the internet to your event, allowing bidders from anywhere to participate in real time. We specialize in integrating online bidding seamlessly with your live auction, ensuring that no one misses out.
Your livestock plus our technical expertise equals one successful auction. Let Hired Hand Live help you expand your reach and maximize your results. Visit hiredhandlive.com to learn more.
Looking for top quality Longhorns and a taste of true Texas spirit? Look no further than Cantera Cattle Company. Our passion for Longhorns shines at Old Gringo Ranch, where tradition meets excellence. Visit us online at CanteraCattleCompany.com and follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok for the latest updates and ranch life fun. Ready to experience it yourself? Schedule your visit by emailing canteracattle@gmail.com. Remember, God is great, Longhorns are good, and life is crazy.
From the Pasture by Hired Hand is presented by R3 Hilltop Ranch. Located in Chilton, Texas, R3 Hilltop Ranch has been breeding registered Texas Longhorns since 2006. What began as 3 heifers has grown into our current herd, which you can explore on our website at r3hilltop.com. We're passionate about loud colors, longhorns, and docile temperaments, but it's the easy-keeping, low-maintenance traits of Texas Longhorns that initially attracted us and continue to drive our herd growth. In addition to livestock, we proudly offer certified Longhorn beef products. Visit r3hilltop.com/beef to learn more. Thank you for listening and enjoy exploring our ranch online at r3hilltop.com.
So what does the future look like? What are some goals that you can share with us that you're working towards, or if you can share any pairings you're excited about that are coming up? Yeah, usually that stuff's top secret. I hardly get an answer on that question. So
It's exciting. It's exciting. It's not really a secret. It's just exciting. We have, like Bill said, we put some blends together that we're excited about. We've done really well with our trued up bull. He's a tough Czech son, that is true to tradition. We've crossed well with the Rebel genetics. He's crossed well with the 20-gauge genetics. And he's crossed well with some outcross genetics that we don't have on him. He's crossed well with a lot of animals. And that's really exciting to us. We've got a full-brothered Rebel on the ranch. And his babies have just hit the ground. We actually, I think, only once hit the ground, and we happened to sell her pregnant to him. We just got a picture of her the other day, and it was good. So we'll see how that, but see if we can take him and put him on some of our 20-gauge daughters, and him on our our trued up daughters, and see if it works in the reverse. And so that's kind of where we're going here. We got a 20-gauge son we like a lot, a 20-gauge Rebel, 20-gauge on a Rebel daughter. Going that direction.
I think 20-gauge and Rebel is a magic cross. And I think it fits in well with our Cowboy Tough genetics and our Tari Graves genetics. So we're kind of enjoying that. You know, drag iron's incredible bull, right? Throwing color, conformation, very, very consistent. We've recently been working more with Horseshoe J Important genetics, and man, it's a pretty impressive cow. What she has thrown and what she's produced. Man, I'm starting to be a big fan.
We've done that through HL Higher Ground. We're partners on him, and pretty exciting.
So how many head do you all have right now in your program?
Probably about 140.
Do you see yourself staying there as you continue to work on things and work towards your goal?
Once we start heading up to 140, it's time to start having some fire sales. No, we need to get it down. But I mean, when you have 50 calves a year, you got to keep your balance. You know?
How many sales are you all consigning to a year?
Probably 4 to 5. Bill's still working so much, it's really hard for us to travel across the country. Bottom line, if you have to pay to have them hauled, you get in trouble with the bottom line there. So it's nice to be able to haul them yourself. Plus, it's fun, but with him working so much, it's hard to travel to the East Coast. So we haven't been going over there a whole lot.
Do you all get a lot of visitors out? A lot of folks, looking to purchase private treaty?
Mm-hmm. Fair enough. Like I said, it waxes and wanes. The weather's always a factor, and everybody works, But no, we had a fair amount of people out.
Is there anything that you do locally to try to, tap into that market, or do you mostly just rely on word of mouth and kind of that your breeding speaks for itself?
Locally, these people around here do not really care for Longhorns. They're more of the beef cattle people. If they do come over here and they see them, they're like, wow. So locally, we're in the Chamber of Commerce and whatnot. And there's some breeders, several Longhorn breeders around us that we know and whatnot. But locally,
You mentioned earlier that you all have been married for 40 years, which, that's amazing. Congratulations. That's a huge feat. But I feel like you have to have some good stories, right? Where Longhorns are involved. So are you willing to share any funny stories or husband-wife stories from working cattle with us?
Well, one day, as a matter of fact, Bill and I, there's always that husband and wife working together on cows thing, right? It's like, I'm sorry for what I said when we were working cows. And so one day we had a pretty rough morning out there we call it the patio, right? It's this concrete slab there by our chute. We call it the patio. And been kind of a rough morning, and we went riding around afterwards. We pulled up to the pens there, and Bill stopped, and he turned off the engine, and he said, Suzanne, if we ever renew our vows, we're going to do it on the patio. That pretty much sums it up. Then we had a time that the neighbor's bull jumped across the fence, and it was a white Charolais bull. We got him in the trailer as fast as possible and took him to the local sale barn. We left the neighbor a letter on his fence and said, "Where do you want us to send the check?" This is where we are. And then the sheriff deputy came out to the house and tried to explain to us that this isn't the way we do things here. Oh. Yeah. So anyway, that was kind of funny.
Did his bull ever get out again, though?
No.
There you go.
I had to explain to him. I said, well, you try telling my wife that, but that's not how we do things. I said, tell that bull I got to keep his bull over there, and he won't have to worry about it. But I can't promise you that Suzanne's not going to take him to the sale barn again. But anyway, good neighbors, good fences make good neighbors. So we're doing well with our neighbors. We're all big buddies now.
Good. Well, a few of the questions we've been asking recently are around sustainability in ranching and then innovation in breeding. Do you feel like you are making any of the moves towards some sustainable practices with your breeding program or anything special like that?
I think the more selective we are with our breeding, the better animals we breed. And I think sustainability is about take the best cow that you can possibly part with, that you can bring yourself to give up, and put that animal in the auction ring. Don't put the animals that you're in a hurry to get rid of in the auction ring. Take them to the sale barn.
Or sell them.
That's how people judge your program, is by seeing what you put. I mean, everybody looking in the catalog, they're there at the auction ring. You get more attention in that few minutes that you're out there in the arena your animals out there, you get more focused attention in those few minutes than you will anywhere else. So that needs to be an advertisement for your program.
Well, I think another point of sustainability is we try hard to keep a good outcross going in our program. Using bulls in the community or breeding our own so that we don't get boxed into a corner with our breeding. We can't breed any more tough checks. Sort of thing.
That's cool.
Yeah, he is a tremendous bull, but after a point, you got to find something new. So
look at how many tremendous tough checks daughters and tough checks bulls are out there in the industry. I mean, it's unbelievable. I mean, so many good ones. I mean, there's a lot of bulls I really like, and they're tough checks on a great female. Over and over and over again, you see that. Man, very consistent. So, but we like to mix it up. We like to be selective about how we mix it up, but definitely you can't get painted into a corner, and that's easy to do because you start relying on one set of genetics or one cross or one blend, and you kind of get stuck on that. And then 10 years later, you're still doing the same thing. I think that hurts you.
Well, there's not a market. I mean, because everybody else is doing those. You got to keep your market new and fresh. I have amazing number of people wanting outcross bulls.
What about kind of innovation? Like, is there any innovative practices you feel or any technology or products that you've started to use with your herd or in your breeding program that you feel like is kind of impacted your success?
Well, there's certain things that we have and do that we've incorporated into our program that have really helped us. One, we do reproductive ultrasound ourselves. And that way we don't have to wait on the veterinarian to come out and tell us this cow's 3 months pregnant. We can see if she's 30 days pregnant. It saves us a lot of time. If there's a problem, if she's sloughed, if she's got a uterine infection, we know it early. We don't have to miss a whole breeding season. So that's been wonderful.
Did you have to take any special classes or anything like that? Or is it just a piece of equipment that you added? Or
no, we went and took a bovine ultrasound course. We both had we're from the medical field, so we had done ultrasound before, so we were familiar with the concept of it, and so we just added into our practice here.
It's bovine ultrasound is not difficult. It takes a little practice, but man, the technology that's available now, the little handheld units that you can take out in the pens with you are awesome. It's saved so much time,
right, and expense. I mean, it's where nowadays for a veterinarian to come out, it's for him to drive up to the pens is $150. So you can pay for them if you have a decent sized herd. You can pay for that ultrasound.
I can be the technology now. I can ultrasound, doing an ultrasound on an animal, looking at the uterus and the fetus and etc. And Suzanne can see the images at the same time on her iPhone.
He's awesome. Got his and I've got the iPhone.
I mean, it's pretty cool. You can sit there in a truck and see the pictures on the iPhone and measure the age of the fetus and do all kinds of stuff on there and store it or we'll save it however we want. So the technology has really gotten pretty cool. I think it's tremendous help for people. And it's not really that hard to learn.
No.
Probably 15 or 20 procedures and you're already pretty good. And when you see a fetus that's 45 days with a heartbeat, there's no doubt in your mind that cow's pregnant, right? Whereas sometimes palpations, even in the best of hands, is not that good. The other thing we did was we put electric wire around our fences.
Everything.
That keeps the cows from leaning against the fence posts, and it keeps the bulls from jumping. If you're trying to run several bulls, it makes a lot of sense. We use that immobilizer.
RAU immobilizer.
Yeah, it goes in the rectum. It's just thin little tube with a very tiny little trickle charge, and it paralyzes or nearly paralyzes the back end of the animal, so you can do your work much faster, whether you're working on the eyes or branding or giving a difficult cow shots or whatever you need to do. It makes it a lot faster, so it's safer for you and a lot safer for the cow because they're not jumping all over the place getting hurt. So rather than sitting there wrestling with them for a long time and everybody getting all beat up, I think the immobilizer is a great investment. We've been using that ever since day one. I know that immobilizer's a heck of a lot cheaper than going to the emergency room all beat up.
And our veterinarian likes it too. When he comes out to do the brucellosis and the heifers, and they got to get up there, even the little ones, they get there and do the tag. Even on the little ones, they can rip an ear. And that holds them still. And we don't have any ripped ears, because if they rip an ear, they're going to have to stay and sew it up. So our veterinarian likes it. And if we got eye problems, mouth problems on the big cattle that swing their heads, we can immobilize them. He can get in there and do what he needs to do. And everybody's safe.
Yeah, no muss, no fuss.
And it doesn't hurt the cows. It doesn't matter if they're pregnant or what. It doesn't hurt.
The other big deal for us is free choice minerals. We saw about a 20% improvement in our conception rate when we added free choice minerals to our pastures. Not that expensive, not that hard to do, made a huge difference. Salt block is not enough.
We give them, our cows get a dry mineral, and they also get a mineral tub.
I think it could get by with just a dry mineral if you had to do one or the other.
Right.
But
dry mineral would probably be better. If you had to do one or the other, I would take the dry mineral.
What kind of a working system or a chute do you all have to run cattle through?
Our duty chute. We've got, what would you call it, pen steel?
Yeah, we switched out about 4 years ago to a weld up pins. We had wooden frames before, but they're starting to fall apart, and we switched out to a weld up. That it's the design that matters. You've got to design it so that it's safe and that you can move the cattle efficiently, and you've got a place to sort them out. So when you're moving cows around, getting ready for the next breeding season, you can get them in there and work them and kind of sort them out into how they're going to be distributed for the new bull or the new pasture alignment.
Is that something that took some trial and error on your part, or did you see a setup at one of the ranches you visited and you mimic that, or how was that found out?
El Coyote has absolutely awesome setup for their cattle, and we kind of mimic that, I guess. We took
some ideas from them, and then kind of had to fit it into our own geography. The other big deal is having alleyways to from your pastures to your working pens. Having to go out there with a trailer to each pasture and load the animals in a trailer, well, it looks so painful. Having alleyways where you can run straight from your pasture to the pens makes a huge amount of difference.
Both of you having medical backgrounds, do you do some of your own AI work?
We used to. When COVID came, we couldn't get liquid nitrogen in our local supplier. And so I had to take all our semen and take it over to the big semen place of the Elgins, where we took it. And so since then, since we just really haven't gotten back to it, but we used to do our own work, and we go find them in a natural heat, which is the best possible time to AI them, and we had a lot of success with that.
I like AI. Yeah. It's not that hard. It takes a little bit of a learning curve, but once you get it down, it's pretty straightforward. I think AI is a good technique. If you use a natural heat, that's even better. Oh. If you've got to do the timed AI, that requires a lot of prep work. It takes about a week. 8 days to do the prep to get the cows ready, and you got to get them up 2 or 3 times to give them their shots. And we just don't always have that much time. We run out of time. I don't know if you know about grandkids yet, but we run out of time. But it's okay. It's worth it. So the other thing that I mentioned is about IVF. I like IVF. Our big deal with IVF is getting tied into a good recipient program. That is more and more difficult to do with time going on. So if somebody has a good recipient program that's consistent, man, that's a real benefit. We've got over 100 embryos that are sitting in the freezer, right? That are good embryos, but we're having trouble finding recip programs that we can use to get them implanted.
We just don't have the room here to support a bunch of big black cows. And then our cows that we do breed, we don't want to use them for recips, for breeding.
Yeah, that makes sense. And now let's hear from our advertisers.
Do you sometimes feel like you're the only one who doesn't have it all figured out? Rural life can be isolating, but it doesn't have to be.
Welcome to Ag's Most Okayest Farm Girls, the podcast for women who are craving connection, laughter, solidarity, camaraderie, and just overall encouragement in your everyday life and dreams.
Each week, your hosts, Annalise, that's me, and Courtney will cover topics such as farm life, mom life, making money online, side hustles, hobbies, sharing on social media, jobs off the farm, and so much more.
Us rural gals need to stick together, so saddle up for some fun, real, and unsolicited advice and stories from our everyday farm lives.
Grab a drink, we're Ag's Most Okayest Farm Girls, and we're here to help. Listen wherever you find podcasts.
Are you a new Longhorn breeder eager to educate yourself on market trends and sale prices? Stay in the loop with our text messages. Get the latest updates, events, and insider tips on all things Longhorns delivered straight to your phone.
Stay informed by texting website to 888-700-8131, then reply with Longhorns. That's website to 888-700-8131. Sign up today and take your breeding program to the next level.
Hidden Springs Ranch, located in central North Carolina, is committed to registered Texas Longhorns. From our high-end breeding stock down to our delicious Longhorn beef sticks. Check us out at hslonghorns.com or on Instagram at Hidden Springs Ranch. Hidden Springs Ranch, where they're bred to turn heads.
All right, well, I have a list of questions here I'm kind of going to go through. Some of them are random, some of them are Longhorn related, and I'm guessing you're each going to have different answers, but we'll kind of go through rapid fire, okay? All right, so favorite Longhorn in your own pasture?
True to tradition.
Queen of the herd, hands down. But Sam's Rose is probably second.
What if you had to pick a Longhorn dead or alive, not your own, as your all-time favorite?
Sam's Rose, Tari Graves, and Tough Chicks.
What's your favorite snack to have when you're riding around on your rides, talking about breeding strategies or sitting on the patio?
Scotch.
Tequila.
All right. Do you call it Coke, soda, or pop?
We don't drink those.
Well, what do you call it? What do you call it?
If we drank Coke, we drink it.
Coke. Yep. See, from being from Iowa, we ask this question because we call it pop, and everyone makes fun of us. So,
You did that. Yeah.
what is your all-time favorite farm tool? You can only pick one.
My Bobcat.
Ultrasound.
You can only use one word to describe your herd.
Awesome.
If you picked a dream location for your ranch, would it stay where it was at, or would it be somewhere else?
Be here.
Instagram or Facebook?
I don't do Instagram. I occasionally look at Facebook. He doesn't do either one.
Well, what haven't I asked you so far that you feel like some new breeders or some folks maybe thinking about getting started in Longhorns could find valuable from your information and from your experiences?
I want to brag on you guys. I want to brag on Hired Hand because we've had how long have we had our website with you? early.
Almost 15 years, I think. You guys have been with us from almost near the beginning.
And it's, you stay so innovative. You inject yourselves into every program that we have anything to do with. You've got your little monthly sales. You've started up your hired hand at the sales and being able to bid and stuff. It's tremendous. It's just wonderful. And our websites it's never down. If I need help, it's right there. I can't say enough good about our hired hand. I love it. And I feel like, and I feel like that if I take the time that I try to do to keep up with my search engine and whatnot, that it's just tremendous, because I can go in there and spend a whole afternoon and go in and work on my search engine and update it like y'all told me to do. And I'll start getting phone calls within days. It works. It definitely works, and I love it.
Let me interrupt you here once. So you brought up the Hired Hand Live monthly sales, and I'm glad you did, because I was going to ask you about this, but I think you are one of the few breeders consistently every month you put an animal in, and I think almost every month they've sold. Is that right?
Yes, one way or another. Right.
Do you feel like you have any tips for folks there? Like, do you feel like because you're able to set your own starting bid, your own reserve, your own buy it now price. Do you feel like it's some of that where you're pricing it? Do you feel like it's the information you're putting out, the quality of the animal? What do you think is contributing to some of that success?
Quality of animals is always a goal. Then you can set the price wherever you want. And if they don't sell, many times I will get a call back and say, okay, how much do you want? Well, because they can't see the reserve. They can see the buy now price, but my reserve sometimes is a little less than the buy now. And so all you have to do is call me and ask, right? So, but I think the quality of the animal is probably number one.
And I think you've used it for both bulls and heifers, right?
I have.
What about you, Bill? Do you have anything that I didn't go over that you feel like would be valuable for new breeders to know?
Yeah, this is a long-term sport, so be patient.
There's many cows that I've sold early that I wish I hadn't, because I wasn't patient. But somebody else's fortune. So.
Need to know when to be patient, then need to know when to stick a bunch of animals in the trailer and take them to the sale barn.
Both, I feel like, are probably two of the most painful parts of being breeders, right? Both of those things.
Well, I love the bulls. I love a beautiful bull. But we're pretty good at, by the time they're 12 months old, it's either sometimes younger than that, but the iffies by 12 months, they're either going to stay or they're going to go. And anything after 12 months usually there's not going to be a bull.
So is that where the name Bull Creek Ranch came from?
We live on Bull Creek.
I wondered.
We used to be WW. You remember that?
Yeah.
And that was for William and William. Bill's William and our son is William. And then we moved over here. We still have that brand, WW. But when we moved to Bull Creek Road, Bill wanted to change it to Bull Creek Road.
How can you live on Bull Creek Road and not name your ranch Bull Creek Ranch?
It was a sign, right? Literally.
It was a no-brainer.
Well, thank you both so much for joining me today. I know folks will have learned a lot from listening, and I really appreciate all of your time.
Okay, well, thank you, Mom. We appreciate you.
Thank you. Enjoyed it.